Uh-oh. There's a fish, there we go. Drop the talons. I don't know if the polarizer on the camera can see right now, but up there you'll see there's a band of real dark stuff. And that's just dead organic matter that's collected over the winter time. You know, the ice came out and ice pushes stuff around, and for whatever reason you get a bunch of dead organics. And what I found out is early in the year, it seems like the water temp is probably 2 to 3 degrees warmer, and the bass just love to go into that area and soak up some heat. See this, look at this little guy here. Really munched that little Finesse T.R.D. Just kind of swimming it real slow like a swim bait. The real deal. My buddy Walker called it a turd, which I guess T.R.D. you could definitely interpret it to mean that. It certainly kind of looks like that, I guess. But it's the real deal because it's just an ultra finesse bait that does nothing, and it gets bit when pretty much nothing else will. I'm gonna cast right back up there. And all I'm doing with that rod right now is really nothing. I'm just maintaining a bit of an angle on there so I can detect a bite, and right there. You can see the rod tip there, it just jumped. I was just reeling it like a little finesse swim bait, and that's the beauty. You can do pretty much anything with these little finesse stick worms. You can wacky rig it, and in this case I just got it on a little mushroom head jig. But I'm not gonna lie, we've been really fighting it the last week. We've had a horrible cold front. We had been on a really good jerkbait bite, and that's totally dried up on us. You know, so when the bite gets tough, you really want to slow down and go with a presentation that has a real subtle action, almost a do-nothing action, and it's amazing how this gets bit. This is a 1/15 ounce, so pretty much a 16th ounce jig, and that little Finesse T.R.D, and it's just kind of suspended in the water right now. It's just coming through. The one real beauty with this particular bait, this Z-Man, is that Elastec material. If you're a budget conscious angler, which I don't know who wouldn't want to be, but also a bait that just flat out catches them. You can catch 20, 30 fish on one of these baits. In fact, that's just fine. I don't need to do anything. I mean, look at that, it's super tough. I got a nice little hook keeper on this little mushroom head. This is a Z-Man ShroomZ, but it's got a little wire keeper on there. And that Elastec just wraps up on there, and I can hardly even pull it off. So you can just keep making repeated casts to wherever the fish are without having to get a new plastic on. So you get a lot of bang for your buck out of a bag of this stuff big time, and it flat out catches them, so you know, why not? Cast and reel, I'm just looking at my rod tip. Sometimes I'll just stop the bait and I'll let it pendulum down a little bit in the water column a little deeper, and that'll trigger a bite sometimes. Like there, I just got bit. I stop reeling, the bait starts doing this a little bit, and that's a little bit of a directional change on that. Like that. And sometimes they like that. So you can change the cadence, but I'm not doing anything with the rod tip. I'm not fishing it like I am a shaky head. Not today anyways. You just experiment with it. Oh, we got a nice little wad of them up there. These are fun little fish. They're growing a little bit. This guy's got a little bit more weight packed on. So how about that for water clarity, huh? But again, that's what was really intriguing to me about this presentation, is that Walker was pounding them on a really turbid, muddy water pond down south, where he lives in Georgia, and catching them. So that's pretty cool when you can take to super clear water. You can also take this into some dirty water, and it gets bit in all those places. Nice little belly, huh? And then the equipment I'm fishing it on, this is a Daiwa Tatula. This is a 7'6". This is the Seth Fighter Special. This is the one he likes to use for hair jigging up in the North Country. And then Nico rigging or finesse jig fishing like this, but it's an extremely responsive tip, like an ultra sensitive tip on it. And I'm fishing this on nano braid. Suffix nano braid, it casts this really light stuff really well. It's got good abrasion resistance, but the handling for these light baits is just tremendous. And then just a 8-pound section of Suffix castable fluorocarbon here. 8 pounds seems like a pretty good all-around pound test to handle nice fish, get good hook sets, but also some good abrasion resistance around those rocks. But the nice thing about that leader, yeah, I don't know if it matters. I could probably fish that nano braid direct, but it sinks, you know. The fluorocarbon kind of helps keep that bait down in the strike zone, whereas the braid solo actually floats. So I just like having a line that sinks, connecting to the lure, fish about 8-foot section of the fluorocarbon right there on the spool. We got a pretty stiff wind today, and we're in shallow water, so this is definitely shallow water anchor country. I do have the Minn Kota Ultrex up front, so if I'm in a little deeper water, I'll use that. But if I can get by in shallow water, I do prefer the shallow water anchor, just so I'm off the trolling motor. But the big deal is, whatever I do, I don't want to be drifting and floating over where these fish are at right now, especially in this clear water. It tends to spook them pretty good, and it takes a while for them to settle back down. So just be a little stealthy, you know? Stay off the fish holding spot. You can see that rod, that 7'6" just gives you a little bit better contact with that real finesse bait. Look at that nice jump, especially in the wind. And we're fishing this on a 3000 size spinning reel. Good line capacity, bigger spool diameter, which I think helps with your casting distance a little bit. You got bigger coils in your line, so a little bit less memory, but you can cast real far with it. It's the Daiwa Luvias, real smooth drag. This one feels a little better. We made a slight move out to a little deeper water. I'm spot locked out here. Pretty colors on this fish. That clear water is something else, man. What's cool is they're so darn catchable. Aren't you, girl? Just a nice stout one.